This happened to me when I was 16, almost 10 years ago now, but the memory still creeps into my mind at night when I least expect it. I grew up in a small town in Oregon where Boy Scouts was more than just a hobby for many kids. It was practically a rite of passage. By the time of this story, I was a Life Scout, one rank away from Eagle. It was late fall, cold, damp, and the forests up in the Cascades had that bone-deep chill that never seemed to go away. We were on what was supposed to be a weekend-long survival training campout deep in the Willamette National Forest. Our scoutmasters picked a remote spot that was rarely used, off a barely maintained fire access road. The idea was to simulate being lost and learning how to survive with only the bare essentials. There were about 12 of us scouts aged between 14 and 17, and 3 scoutmasters, including Mr. Langley, a hardcore ex-military type who took the tough love approach way too seriously. He insisted we set up our shelters using only what we found in the woods and the tarps we packed in our bags. We had minimal food, just enough for 2 days, forcing us to fish or trap if we wanted anything extra. On the first night, we sat around the small fire, tired, hungry, and cold, when Langley told us to gather in close. He liked to tell these educational horror stories meant to scare us into always being alert. That night, he told us about the Pine Hollow Hermit, an old tale about a deranged man who supposedly lived off the grid deep in these very woods and was rumored to hunt animals, and sometimes people. We all laughed it off. Even the younger guys joked about how cliché it sounded, but I remember feeling unsettled. The way Langley told the story, it didn't sound like some campfire myth. It sounded like something he believed. The second night is when things went bad. It started with small, odd things that we tried to brush off. One of the guys, Trevor, noticed his boots were missing. We figured he misplaced them, but he swore he left them by his tarp shelter. Langley scolded him for being careless and told him to tough it out until morning. That same night after we turned in, I woke up freezing. Our makeshift shelters weren't doing much against the cold. But that wasn't what fully woke me. There was a noise outside, not an animal noise. It sounded like whispering. I nudged my buddy Matt, whispering for him to listen, but by the time he stirred, the whispering had stopped. We both assumed it was some of the other scouts messing around and tried to go back to sleep. The next morning, more stuff went missing. Trevor's missing boots were found, ripped apart, and nailed to a tree about 20 feet up, high enough that none of us could have done it without climbing gear. Langley's mood shifted fast. He ordered us to stay in groups of 3 at all times, no exceptions. But as the day went on, we all started to feel watched. At one point, I spotted something or someone standing way out beyond the tree line. It looked like a person. Tall, wearing some kind of ragged coat, just standing there. I called out, but they didn't move. Langley and 2 other scoutmasters rushed over when I yelled, but by the time they got there, whoever it was had vanished into the dense trees. Langley cursed under his breath, his hand hovering over the sidearm he only carried on extreme trips like this. That night, nobody slept well. We huddled by the fire, most of us too scared to retreat to our shelters. That's when we heard it. Footsteps, heavy, slow, circling the fire from just beyond where the light reached. Langley stood up, flashlight in hand, yelling into the dark, but whoever was out there didn't flinch. In fact, they began to hum, a low, off-tune melody that echoed in the woods like a broken music box. Langley finally fired his gun into the air, and the humming stopped. The footsteps stopped. Silence. At sunrise, we found what the scoutmasters feared most. 3 of the scouts' shelters had been ripped apart, and around the campsite were crude, hand-carved totems made of branches and animal bones, arranged in a circle around our fire pit. Langley snapped. He barked orders to pack everything up. We were hiking out of there, no more survival games, but things only got worse. Langley tried to lead us back the way we came, following his GPS and compass, but after hours of hiking, the GPS refused to get signal, and the compass needle kept spinning wildly as if something was interfering with it. We passed the same fallen tree 3 times, even though Langley swore we were going in the right direction. We were lost. Worse yet, we weren't alone. The group got more and more paranoid. Every so often we'd hear that same humming. We'd spot figures moving between the trees, never close, always watching. Langley finally admitted that we were probably being stalked by someone and that we needed to make a defensive camp for the night, even if it meant roughing it out again. We built a crude barricade using logs, piling them around our makeshift camp, and kept a fire burning bright all night. Nobody slept. Around 2 a.m. we heard something, scratching sounds coming from the trees. Then something was thrown into the camp, a crude doll made of straw and animal hide, with buttons for eyes and human hair stitched into its scalp. That was enough. Langley fired 2 shots into the woods and started yelling for whoever was out there to show themselves. But nobody did. Instead, we saw torches. About 6 or 7 of them in the distance, forming a line just beyond our firelight. They didn't move closer, they didn't say anything, they just stood there, watching. We left everything behind. Langley made the call. We ran, all of us, running blind into the woods with only our flashlights. We ran until the torches disappeared behind us. By sheer luck, or maybe because whoever they were allowed it, we found the access road by sunrise. Langley radioed for help. When the forest rangers arrived later that day, they found our old camp abandoned, stripped of our supplies. The weirdest thing, they said that area was supposed to be off limits, because over the years, multiple people had gone missing on that same stretch of forest. Langley never spoke about it again. Neither did we. The trip was written off as a misadventure, but the nightmares never left me. I still hear that humming in my head sometimes when I can't sleep.